Have you ever felt like you were carrying the weight of someone else's problems, emotions, or expectations on your shoulders? Like no matter how much you give, it's never enough, yet you're left feeling drained, heavy, and disconnected from yourself. That's the silent cost of attachment. And the truth is, learning to emotionally detach isn't about being cold, heartless, or distant. It's about choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and freedom over unnecessary pain. Emotional detachment is an act of self-preservation. It means understanding that you cannot control how others behave, but you can control how much access they have to your mind and your spirit. Think of your energy like a battery. Every interaction either charges you or drains you. If you constantly give to people or situations that don't give back, you'll eventually run out of power. Detachment teaches you to set boundaries without guilt. It helps you stop chasing validation, stop seeking closure where there isn't any, and stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight. It's not selfishness. It's self-respect. When you detach, you start seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. You learn to accept that some relationships, opportunities, or situations are not meant to stay in your life. And that's not a loss, it's a lesson. Because every time you let go of something that drains you, you create space for something that will grow you. Protecting your energy is about being intentional. Not everyone deserves access to your time, your heart, or your attention. Some people belong in your memory, not in your present. Some situations belong in your past, not in your future. Detachment is choosing yourself without apology. One of the hardest lessons we learn in life is that detachment is not rejection. It's not about cutting people off out of bitterness or pretending you don't care. It's about choosing yourself, choosing peace, choosing growth, and recognizing when something is costing you too much to hold on to. Most people confuse detachment with coldness, like you've turned your heart off. But in reality, it's the opposite. It's love for yourself. Think about it. You can't carry everyone's weight on your shoulders and still expect to walk your own path. You can't be tied to every argument, every opinion, every expectation, and still expect to have clarity. A wise person once said, holding on is believing that there's only a past. Letting go is knowing that there's a future. That's what detachment is. It's seeing that clinging to what drains you is blocking what's meant for you. Some of us grew up thinking loyalty meant staying attached no matter what. Loyalty is powerful, but it becomes destructive when it keeps you chained to pain. Imagine a ship tied to a dock during a storm. If the storm rages on and the ship doesn't detach, it's going to sink with everything on it. Detachment doesn't mean abandoning the dock forever. It means untying yourself so you don't go down with something that was never meant to weather that storm. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who kept holding on to a broken vase because it was expensive and he didn't want to accept that it was shattered. He kept cutting his hands trying to put the pieces together, bleeding every time he touched it. The vase wasn't functional anymore, but he thought holding on made him strong. In truth, letting it go would have made him wise. Detachment is exactly that. Sometimes we're cutting ourselves on broken pieces of relationships, dreams, or memories, all because we're afraid of what it looks like to walk away. But peace starts where fear ends. When you detach, you don't hate, you don't resent, you simply accept. You accept that some people can't go where you're headed. You accept that certain situations served their purpose and taught their lesson. You accept that your growth demands space, and not everyone fits into the new version of you. That's not rejection. It's protection. Protection of your mind, your energy, your future. Now let's talk about energy, because this is the part most people overlook. Energy is currency. Every thought, every conversation, every connection, you're spending something. The problem is, too many people spend energy like they've got an unlimited balance. They give it to gossip, negativity, drama, people who only call when they need something, situations that never move forward. And then they wonder why they feel empty, tired, unmotivated. Look at your life like a bank account. If every morning you woke up with 100 in your account, would you waste it on things that don't matter? Would you give it to people who never plan on paying you back? Would you throw it away on things that drain you? Of course not. You'd invest it, you'd protect it. You'd spend it wisely. That's exactly how energy works. You wake up each day with a limited amount. How you spend it determines what you have left for yourself. I remember hearing someone say, protect your energy like it's your last dollar, because in many ways it is. And that hit me, because when you think about it, the most valuable things in life are not things at all. They're time, attention, and energy. Once they're gone, you don't get them back. Picture this: two people wake up in the morning. One spends their energy scrolling through negativity, arguing online, worrying about things out of their control. By noon, they're drained. The other person spends their energy on reading something uplifting, working on their goals, having meaningful conversations, protecting their focus. By noon, they're fueled. Same 24 hours, completely different results. The difference wasn't time, it was how they spent their energy. And here's the trap: energy thieves are everywhere. Some people don't even know they're draining you, but they are. Some conversations leave you inspired, others leave you exhausted. Some environments make you grow, others shrink you. You've got to start paying attention to how you feel after certain people or situations. That feeling is feedback. It's your spirit telling you where your energy is safe and where it's being robbed. There's a saying, where attention goes, energy flows. If you give your attention to negativity, your energy will follow. If you give your attention to growth, your energy will multiply. That's why discipline is everything. Discipline in what you watch, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, and what you allow into your space. Because whether you notice it or not, every choice is a transaction. Every choice is either an investment in your peace or a debt against your soul. Think about a time when you felt unstoppable, when your energy was high, when your focus was sharp. What was different about your environment? Who were you spending time with? What were you feeding your mind? Now compare that to a time when you felt drained, lost, disconnected. The difference was never your potential. It was where your energy was being directed. Let me drop a truth that might sting. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Just like not everyone deserves access to your house, your car, or your money. Yet we give people full access to our energy without question. We let people dump their problems on us. We let situations pull us into chaos. We let negativity sit at the table like it paid to be there. Start charging admission. Start asking yourself, does this deserve my energy? Is this building me or breaking me? Is this transaction worth the cost? Detachment and energy go hand in hand. Because when you detach from what drains you, you free up energy to invest in what grows you. You stop leaking energy on people who don't care, and you start pouring it into your own purpose. You stop chasing validation, and you start fueling your vision. You stop trying to fix what's broken, and you start building what's possible. Here's something powerful. The more you value your energy, the more valuable your life becomes. People will treat your energy how you treat it. If you give it away recklessly, they'll take it for granted. If you guard it with discipline, they'll respect it. And the ones who don't respect it, they'll remove themselves. One time I heard a story about a farmer with a leaking bucket. Every day he carried water from the well, but by the time he got back, half the water was gone. He couldn't understand why. He was always tired and still never had enough. Until one day he realized it wasn't about carrying more water, it was about fixing the leaks. Your energy works the same way. You don't need more hours in the day. You need to fix the leaks in your focus, your relationships, your habits. Because no matter how much you pour in, if you're leaking energy, you'll always feel empty. So ask yourself, what's leaking my energy? Who am I giving access to that doesn't deserve it? What situations am I tied to that no longer serve me? Because every leak you fix adds strength back to your spirit. Every detachment you make adds power back to your purpose. And remember, detachment isn't about bitterness, it's about clarity. Protecting your energy isn't about selfishness, it's about survival. When you understand that, you stop apologizing for choosing peace. You stop apologizing for walking away from what doesn't align. You stop apologizing for valuing your energy the same way you'd value your last breath. Because in a way, that's exactly what it is. Most people struggle with boundaries because they've been taught that saying no is rude, that putting yourself first is selfish, that pleasing everyone is the way to be loved. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls, they're gates. And every gate has a lock for a reason. It's not to keep everyone out, it's to control what gets in. Boundaries are about balance, about protecting the parts of you that need to stay whole in order for you to grow. Think about your phone for a second. You lock it with a password, right? You don't just let anyone pick it up and scroll through your private messages or access your bank account. You protect it. Why? Because it holds value. If you can lock your phone, why not lock your spirit? Why not set the same level of protection around your time, your energy, your emotions? If you don't, people will take more than they should, and you'll have no one to blame but yourself. Here's the thing. People don't respect what you don't enforce. If you keep saying yes when you want to say no, people will believe you're available for everything. If you let people speak to you any kind of way, they'll think it's normal. Boundaries teach people how to treat you, and they don't need to like your boundaries to respect them. In fact, the ones who get mad when you set boundaries are usually the ones who were benefiting from you not having any. There's a story I once heard about a gardener. He had a beautiful yard with flowers, trees, and fruit. People from the village loved to pass through, picking fruit, sitting in the shade, admiring the flowers. At first he didn't mind, but after a while the garden was being trampled, the branches were broken, the fruit was gone. So he built a fence. Some people got upset, said he was selfish. But after that, the garden thrived again. Boundaries don't make you selfish, they make you sustainable. Balance comes when you realize you can love people without carrying all their weight. You can support someone without losing yourself. You can care deeply without letting it consume you. Boundaries give you space to breathe, to reset, to recharge. And when you're balanced, you actually show up stronger, wiser, and more consistent for the people who truly matter. You ever notice how an artist protects their creative space? They won't let just anyone in the studio when they're building something, not because they don't care about people, but because they know the wrong energy can kill the vibe. That's what boundaries do in life. They protect the vibe. They keep the wrong energy from messing up the masterpiece you're building. Now let's get into letting go. Letting go is one of the hardest, but also one of the most powerful moves you can make. Most of us hold on to people, habits, and situations long past their expiration date. We tell ourselves stories like, maybe it'll change, or maybe it'll go back to how it was. But sometimes holding on is exactly what's keeping us from moving forward. Imagine you're climbing a ladder while holding on to a heavy bag of rocks. Every step feels harder, every move is slower, and eventually you can't go any higher because the weight is too much. That bag of rocks is the past. Old friendships, old grudges, old fears, old versions of yourself. The higher you want to go, the more you've got to drop what doesn't serve you anymore. There's a quote I always remember. Some people are only meant to be part of your story, not your destination. That hits because we often confuse temporary chapters for lifelong commitments. Some people come into your life just to teach you something, and once the lesson is learned, their role is complete. Holding on past that point is like rereading the same page of a book and wondering why the story isn't moving forward. I know letting go can feel like loss, but loss and growth often look the same in the beginning. Think about a tree in autumn. The leaves fall, the branches look bare. It seems like something is dying, but in reality, the tree is preparing for a stronger season. It's letting go of what it no longer needs so it can come back even more alive. That's how growth works. Letting go doesn't mean you lose. It means you make space for something new. I remember hearing about a young man who kept all his old sneakers stacked up in his closet, even the ones that were too small, too torn, or too dirty to wear. His closet was so full he had no room for new shoes. Someone asked him, "Why don't you throw the old ones out?" He said, "Because I paid for these. They mean something to me." The truth is, they meant something once, but now they were just taking space. That's what we do with old relationships, old habits, old identities. We keep them out of attachment, and they block what's waiting to come in. Growth demands space. You can't fill a cup that's already overflowing. You can't start a new chapter while rereading the last one. You can't expect new blessings while clinging to old burdens. That's why letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes we hold on out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of the unknown. But comfort zones are dangerous. They feel safe, but they keep you stuck. There's a story about a bird that lived in a small cage. Every day someone would open the door, but the bird never left. It was so used to the cage that freedom felt scary. One day the cage was taken away, and the bird finally realized it had wings. That's what letting go does. It shows you the wings you forgot you had. When you let go, you free yourself to discover new levels of yourself. You learn that your value isn't tied to who stays or who leaves. You learn that endings can be beginnings in disguise. You learn that closure doesn't always come from someone else. It comes from the decision to move forward regardless. And here's the raw truth: not everyone can grow with you. Some people will be intimidated by your growth because it reminds them of their own stagnation. Some people loved you at a certain level because it made them comfortable, and when you rise, it forces them to face themselves. Letting go of them isn't betrayal, it's alignment. Because you can't drag someone into their own growth, and you can't shrink yourself to stay where they are. Letting go also applies to mindset. Sometimes the thing holding us back isn't a person, but our own way of thinking. That old voice in your head that says you're not good enough, not ready, not worthy. That doubt, that fear, that insecurity, you've got to let that go too. Because if you keep carrying it, it'll keep dictating how far you go. I once heard you can't pour new wine into old wineskins, meaning you can't experience new growth with an old mentality. You can't reach a new level with the same excuses. You can't unlock new doors with the same old keys. Letting go isn't just about people. It's about patterns. It's about choosing to break cycles so you can create something different for yourself. And the beauty is, every time you let go of something heavy, you gain something lighter. Every time you release something toxic, you gain peace. Every time you walk away from what doesn't align, you get closer to what does. So when you put boundaries in place, you protect your balance. And when you let go of what doesn't serve you, you create space for growth. Together, they transform your life. They allow you to move with clarity, to rise with strength, and to live with purpose. Remember this: you don't grow by holding tighter, you grow by letting go. And you don't lose balance by setting boundaries, you gain it. Protect your peace, protect your energy, and never be afraid to release what was never meant to stay. One of the biggest traps in life is chasing validation. That constant need for someone else to tell you that you're enough, that you're valuable, that you're worthy. It sounds harmless at first. We all want to be liked, respected, appreciated. But when your sense of worth depends on approval, you put your life in somebody else's hands. And the moment they decide not to clap, you start questioning your whole existence. That's dangerous. Think about it. If you're always chasing applause, then silence feels like failure. If you're always chasing compliments, then criticism feels like destruction. That's how people lose themselves. They shape shift, they water down their truth, they silence their voice, all for the sake of fitting into someone else's idea of acceptable. But the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you'll never please everybody. You could give your whole life trying, and someone will still say it wasn't enough. There's a story about a farmer, his son, and their donkey walking to the market. At first, the father rode the donkey while the son walked. People said, "What a selfish man, making his child walk." So the father got off and let the son ride. Then people said, "What a lazy boy, letting his father walk." So both of them got on the donkey. Then people said, "Poor animal, they're abusing it." So they both got off and carried the donkey on their backs. In the end, they were exhausted, embarrassed, and never made it to the market. The lesson: if you live your life for the opinions of others, you'll end up carrying a weight that was never meant to be carried. Chasing validation drains you because it's an endless game. Approval is temporary. People can love you today and criticize you tomorrow. They can hype you up when it benefits them and turn on you when it doesn't. If your identity is built on their opinions, then you'll always be unstable, always chasing, never arriving. Instead of asking, "Do they approve of me?" start asking, "Do I approve of myself?" Because the loudest applause in the world can't fill the silence in your heart if you're not at peace with who you are. There's a quote I once heard: "Don't let praise get to your head or criticism get to your heart." That's balance. You've got to stay grounded whether they're cheering or booing. Because when you stop chasing validation, you gain freedom. Freedom to be authentic. Freedom to make mistakes. Freedom to move at your own pace without constantly looking over your shoulder to see who's watching. Validation seeking also makes you vulnerable to manipulation. People can sense when you're desperate to be liked, and they'll use it. They'll dangle approval like a carrot on a stick, keeping you running in circles. But when you stand solid in who you are, no one can play you like that. You don't need their stamp of approval because you've already stamped yourself. Think of a diamond. Its value doesn't change based on whether someone recognizes it or not. You can throw dirt on it, ignore it, deny it. But its worth is still its worth. That's you. Your value is not determined by who claps for you. It's determined by what you're made of. Now, once you stop chasing validation, you free up all that energy to fuel your vision. And this is where everything changes. Because vision is what separates people who drift from people who build. Vision gives you direction when everything else is unclear. Vision gives you strength when the struggle gets heavy. Vision is the map that keeps you moving forward when your current reality doesn't look like where you want to be. Without vision, you'll settle for distractions. You'll chase anything that looks shiny, but you'll never stay consistent because you don't know what you're really chasing. That's why people bounce from trend to trend, job to job, relationship to relationship. They're moving, but not progressing. Vision locks you in. Vision says, "This is where I'm going, and no matter how long it takes, no matter how many setbacks I face, I'm not stopping until I get there." Let me tell you a story. A young man was walking through the desert with nothing but a bottle of water and a map. The sun was burning, the journey was long, and halfway through he started doubting himself. He thought about turning back, about giving up, but he looked at the map and remembered why he started. That map didn't change no matter how hot it got or how tired he felt. That's what vision does. It stays solid even when everything else feels unstable. It reminds you why you began, and it keeps you moving when motivation fades. Fueling your vision means protecting your focus. Not everybody will see what you see, and that's okay. Some people will laugh at your dream, some will doubt it, some will try to distract you. But vision isn't for them, it's for you. Stop looking for them to understand it. Stop asking for permission to chase it. Your vision was given to you for a reason, and not everyone is supposed to get it. Fueling your vision also means sacrifice. You can't want the outcome without respecting the process. You can't expect results without paying the price. Vision demands discipline. While others are partying, you're building. While others are complaining, you're creating. While others are waiting for opportunity, you're preparing. That's how you separate yourself. There's a saying, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Think about that. The small sacrifices you make to fuel your vision might feel heavy now, but they're nothing compared to the weight of regret later on. Sometimes, the vision you're chasing won't make sense to anyone else until it's finished. That's why so many people give up too early. They want instant proof, instant recognition. But vision is long-term. It's planting seeds today for a harvest you may not see for years. That takes patience. That takes faith. That takes endurance. And here's the beauty. Once you truly lock into your vision, validation no longer matters. The noise fades. The distractions lose their power because you're no longer driven by applause. You're driven by purpose. And purpose doesn't need an audience. I'll give you an example. Think of an architect. When they first draw the blueprint for a skyscraper, it's just lines on paper. Most people can't see the building. They can't imagine it. But the architect doesn't get discouraged because the vision is clear in their mind. They keep building brick by brick, floor by floor, until one day the world looks up and sees the skyscraper standing tall. That's how vision works. At first, it's invisible to everyone but you. But if you stay faithful, one day it becomes undeniable. Fueling your vision is also about surrounding yourself with the right people. Energy is contagious. If you're around people who lack vision, they'll infect yours with doubt. But if you're around builders, dreamers, doers, their energy will push you higher. That's why you've got to choose your circle wisely. Not everyone deserves to sit at the table where your vision is being built. The greatest investment you'll ever make is in your own vision. Pour into it daily. Feed it with knowledge, with discipline, with persistence. Protect it like a flame in the wind, because if you guard it long enough, that small flame will become a fire that lights up everything around you. And remember this, validation fades, but vision lasts. People's applause comes and goes, but purpose stays. When you live for validation, you're at the mercy of their moods. But when you live for vision, you're in alignment with something bigger than approval. You're unstoppable because your drive doesn't come from outside. It comes from within.